everyone, good evening. I am Tanish Shewani, the founder of Bharat where we are building an ecosystem of sustainable tools using AI and automation, where we help companies, individuals and governments become carbon neutral. So what isn't measured cannot be managed, and that is the biggest challenge that we face today. We do not understand it, is why we do not take action. Sustainability doesn't just apply to the environment, it applies to everything that we do, every aspect of our lives. And we can definitely foster it, all we need is the right knowledge to foster it. For example, as parents, you want your kids' school life to be sustainable. As professionals, you want your work life to be sustainable. And as kids, you want your school life to be sustainable. Just because we do not know how to define it, we underestimate that word. It's such a broad word that holds very less meaning in our lives, and that word itself doesn't have the sustainability to carry its meaning. People don't define the future, they define their habits, and their habits define their future. Since the past 10 days, I've been helping students to define their business idea and their model. And with that aspect, over the next few minutes, I'm going to give you an understanding on the sustainability in the context of an individual. So going ahead, what you see is the decarbonization process that we have defined. In this space, there is so much information that once you start studying it, you will get lost in the complexity of it to understand what you need to do. So what we have done here is, we have done the complex work and we are defining a simplified process for individuals, companies and governments to do the entire process. So the process starts with first measuring and analyzing your carbon footprint, understanding it, deriving insights from it. On that basis, we also help you report. Then building a strategy, optimizing your emissions, and then actually fostering those reductions. So what you see below are the 6 categories that make up the emissions of an individual. Starting with nutrition, housing, mobility, the goods you consume, the services that you consume, and the leisure activities that you do. So the self-awareness that needs to be built in individuals requires a fundamental change in the way we think. But we are human beings, this fundamental change cannot happen in the short term, it's something that has to be fostered in the long term. So over the next minute, I'm going to show you a couple of items that we utilize in our daily lives and what is the carbon emissions impact of those items. Yeah. So before we go ahead, how many people have seen an electricity bill or paid an electricity bill? Raise your hands, please. Perfect. So you have an understanding of what your consumption might be. So for every unit that you consume, you emit about 1.19 kgs of carbon dioxide equivalent in terms of emissions. So for a family of 4 that consumes about 1,000 units per month, your emissions would be 1.2 tons for that entire family. The next part is nutrition. These are the 3 main items that we consume on a large basis. I'm sure people who cook will be able to relate to this. Cheese, butter and rice. We consume these 3 items in a really large quantity in our country as well. And for cheese, for every kg that you consume, the carbon emissions is 8.14 kgs of carbon dioxide equivalent. For butter, it's 4.65 kgs. And for rice, it's 0.64 kgs of carbon emissions that you consume, that you create by consuming every kg of rice. Now, before we go ahead, how many of you love chai? How many of you drink chai? Raise your hands, please. Perfect. So we have a large audience that drinks chai. It's the fabric of our nation because everyone in this country mostly consumes chai. So this is the carbon emissions for creating 1 liter of chai, where the tea leaves produces 1.63 kgs of carbon equivalent. The sugar creates 0.51 kgs of carbon equivalent, and the milk generates about 6.07 kgs of carbon equivalent. And this figure for 1 1 liter of tea is 0.93 kgs per, sorry, 0.93 kgs of carbon equivalent that we are creating. And this is not even taking into consideration the transportation and the heat we need to make this tea. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So, this is a small activity that will help you understand the impact of the things we consume on a daily basis. Saving the environment is an evolving process where, if combined with the right information, it will have a large impact. If you'd like to know more, this is a community aspect that we are creating where you can get actionable items on a daily basis. So you can scan the QR code and join the WhatsApp group where on a weekly basis you get actionable items where you can foster sustainability within your home and within your family. So all I ask you is to be mindful of the consumption and consume consciously. Because if you do not take action now, even the individual growth that we all experience will feel like a loss. Thank you.